Woohoo.
I know. and and we are live. Hello. Hi, everybody. Welcome to day 4 of Energy Transformation Week. My name is Tara Taglienti, and I am here with someone that I met just this year in a very happenstance way. I was at a dinner party, like a little dinner. Actually, it was just like 3 of us.
Yeah.
and Marissa, we had no idea that we both knew energy and this kind of work. So all of a sudden, Marissa started getting contacted by a late relative of mine. And turns out we ended up having an amazing session that changed so much. So much of the things in that session have come true. And it just kind of changed so much for me and my family. It was so great. And I just really want to, I had to interview you for Energy Transformation Week. This is something that I do every year. And I'm really curious to hear about you, because we really haven't talked much since then.
No, and I.
So hold on, wait. Let me.
Yeah, please.
So you're a psychic, you're a medium, and you're a founder of Happy Ganesh, and I don't know anything about that. We met once. We chat on Facebook every now and then.
Right.
I just, for me and for everybody watching, who are you? What is it that you do in the world? What's your mission on the planet?
Oh gosh, good questions all. My name is Marissa, and I'm a writer. And the writing sort of bled into the psychic thing. So I realized I was a psychic medium from a very young age. Thankfully, I come from a family that's very chill with all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I started Happy Ganesh when I decided to start my own business, I guess about 10 years ago. And Happy Ganesh just really encompasses psychic mediumship and what it means to me. And I think that my mission with that is really, and I'm so thankful to hear what you were able to experience with the session that we did, because that's really what I want to bring to people is we go on, there's not a divide between life and death, and there's not a separation, and we're raised to believe in separation. And when you're talking about the love between the living and the dead, there's not a break. There's no separation at all. We just continue. And I think of it as sort of like a really unorthodox version of grief healing in a weird way.
Yeah.
But I think that's really my mission, is to show people that there's not an end point to any of this. It just keeps going.
That's cool. That's awesome. So, I'm really curious about you, on a personal level. So a lot of this week is all about people's transformation stories. Like how did you know, and what led you, what was growing up like for you? Did you know that you were different? What is your transformation story? Was there a certain point that just kind of pushed you to be oh, this is what I'm doing now? Or, what was that? What was it like growing up? And then what was the thing that had you be oh yeah, I'm going to be on the weird team for life?
I feel like we so don't get a choice in that. It's just there,
Well, yeah,
you can just shove it aside or not. But yeah, so growing up for me was, gosh, I guess kind of unorthodox. My mom was really sort of an overgrown hippie, and she kind of came of age in the 60s and the 70s. And so I was raised with Linda Goodman, who's this world famous astrologer. And my father was friends with Mickey Dane. Before I was born, Mickey Dane was a psychic who was down here in Hollywood, Florida. And then her daughter, Jill, went on to be in this work as well. And she's awesome. And so it was sort of I always was raised in this environment of there's something more. There's something a little bit different about the world, and then I think what really, really pushed me is my late 20s. This was around when I started Happy Ganesh. I was coming off a major amount of craziness in my life. And basically what had happened is both of my parents had passed within 18 months of each other. And I had been a main caregiver for like, gosh, almost like 6 or 7 years. So at that time in your 20s, when like everyone's like moving places and going on random trips and doing all the things that you're supposed to be doing when you're in your 20s, I wasn't doing that. I was like changing my parents' diapers, and I was kind of watching death happen around me, and I was pretty young. And it was really just me doing the main caregiving. Like it was me in the house, and I was taking care of my dad and then my mom. And then when that storm broke, I had like the psychic stuff was popping up. It started after my dad died. It had always been there since I was a kid. And I had been on this track of academia. I was going to be an English professor. That's what I was going to do. Maybe I would go to law school at some point. And it was a very sort of type A focused journey that really didn't allow for any of this. And I didn't trust it. I was afraid of it.
Yeah.
And, you know, honestly, like once my mother died, it was like, all right, put up or shut up. Like she was a huge instrument in a lot of this in a weird way. In weird ways, she still is.
Yeah.
Like, she's dead, but like I have several friends who are also in this work who will call me and be like, your mom says this. Like your mom showed up in my dream. Like she's she's kind of still a busybody. She's everywhere. Like people will just call me and be like, do you know that your mom said blah, blah? And I'm like, really? God. But like, but it's, you know, it's funny and it's weird, and it's been a hell of a journey in the last decade, you know, because I really had to shift everything I believed in. And
like
didn't have it any other way, you know.
What was that? So like, could you give like an example of like what was something that would occur that would have you have to be like, okay, if I ignore this, like this is truly there, but like what, you know, like just say like because what I like to kind of convey is like could you give an example of something that like you couldn't ignore in case there's somebody else that's watching this video that might be in that place that's just like, am I psychic? Am I going crazy? Like, or like what was happening for you like in those at that time that you were just like, whoa, this is actually because it's like you had to develop it yourself. Like, did you have any mentorship or like
I did. I mean, I had like going through like in high school, I had my friends and we would all sort of were curious about this. But as I right before Happy Ganesh was born, really, I was having dreams about dead relatives who would come to me and they would tell me things.
Yeah.
And at that point, my mom was still alive, and I would go to her and I would say, oh, whoever showed, you know, dad showed up and he said that you have to sign this particular paperwork and you have to sign it this way and this way. And you have to make sure that there's 4 copies and like all these crazy details.
Yeah.
And a lot of what wound up coming through in those dreams wound up being real and wound up being proven, like maybe not that week, but maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, whoever it was in the family who I had spoken to would come back and be like, okay, like, I don't know what's going on with you, but something's happening.
Yeah.
And sometimes there were just weird things like tiny little random hits that we all get.
Yeah.
You know, to speak to the question of like, how do you know if you're psychic?
Yeah.
First of all, I think that everybody is, really.
Right.
And I think that we're so trained out of it. You know, we're taught that it's, pardon my French, we're taught that it's crap. We're taught that it's not the logical way to go. It's outside of the flow of how things should be. And I think we're just trained to ditch that. So I think if you're wondering if you're psychic and you're not sure, keep a journal, meditate. Yeah. And in those meditations, you're going to start to download information and get information, and keep a journal of that.
Yeah.
So I used to keep checklists and then go back and write if I was right, if I was wrong, if it was a maybe, if it hadn't been revealed yet. And then I would kind of keep doing that and seeing how that built up. You know, it was a weird way. It was like self-training, but
it's really cool because I mean, like in my experience, it's like I've stumbled across I've stumbled across a couple different modalities, and one of them, you know, that I know, you know, I spoke about it at the dinner, is like I do access consciousness, and that is just tons of questions that you ask yourself, and it's like a very self-discovery, like you've got to discover it on your own and develop it on your own.
Right.
And the philosophy behind that is that, like we all, like we come in with these abilities, and school teaches us, you know, we go to school, like all of it's, we all require education, right? The thing is that we aren't formally trained, or we have no education on, you know, on the energetics of things. And like, I really think that if there was some sort of, you know, like if that was cultivated when we're little, because when we come in, we have all this information, we're communicating energetically, and that's almost like, you know, it's almost like quietly trained out of us to even like be functioning that way.
It is. Absolutely.
So it's like, yeah, what else is possible? Because now, you know, now there's like, I don't know, I have two nephews, and it's just kind of like I try to ask them as many questions as I can. And, you know, I can still see, like, I see the magic there, and I'm just kind of like, oh, I'm like, that's like, keep, you know, I'm like,
keep
guys,
doing that.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
you know, it's like, did you, you know, one of them sneezed and then the other one would sneeze, and I'm like, did you just give your sneeze to your brother? And then the brother would be like, no, I took it from him. And I'm like, okay, well, you know, you don't have to always do that, right? You don't have to take sneezes from people, but you know, stuff like that. It's, and they'll, you can tell they hesitate, and then they'll be like, no, I took it from him. And I'm like, okay, good. That's like magic, you know?
That's cool.
Like,
that's cool. It's also that's also sort of empath training in a way. Like,
yeah,
you know, you're taking someone's sneeze, or you're taking someone's pain.
yeah,
You're trying to, you know, like,
yeah.
that's so cool. It's a cool age.
Well, okay. And so you're also a psychic medium, and like you also do psychic healing. Is that, or I know we were going to talk about healing a little bit. Like, what's that about? Like, what else do you do? Like, it's like,
so really, so it's, I wouldn't consider it so much as healing. I just feel like when you're dealing with the world of energy, and when you're dealing with the world of people who have passed, or the energy of things that are going to come, I feel like that in itself is a healing process, because that in itself, in order to be in tune to it, or to like, I always picture it like walking into the ocean. Like, in order to listen to it, I feel like just listening to it is healing, and being able to meditate is healing, and the process of it is a healing process, as opposed to like, so I don't consider that I necessarily do psychic healings necessarily, but I feel like the process of it is a healing.
Yeah. And,
you know,
and the results are pretty healing too, because it's like, you know, I experienced that session that we did, and it just rippled out throughout my family. You know, it was like, I was able to tell people things that I was like, I don't know, what we both didn't know what the heck that was.
Yeah.
And then I would ask, you know, the person it was relevant to, they'd be like, oh yeah, totally. That was the person like down the street from us. And I'm just kind of like, whoa.
Yeah. And there's Muggsy. Muggsy, rat terrier, very much wants to be involved in all of this.
Okay.
But yeah, like, he's by the door. He's like, oh my God.
If he wants to jump up on your lap and be seen, it's totally okay.
He might need to. His
animals are part of
things.
Animals are part of all of this too. They're such a huge contribution.
He might run up here in a second, but I'm so, I can't even articulate how happy I am to hear that, because that reading was pretty powerful, and it was very, like, I felt honored and blessed to be able to be a part of that, to be in the room for it.
Yeah.
To have it working around both of us, you know, and that just, yay.
It was just a lot of like confirmation, and just like, like I was kind of like doubting my own self at that point in time. And I was just like, I'm not sure if this is what it is. And then all of a sudden at a random dinner, it's kind of like, no, you're going to, and basically that relative is kind of just like, no, I'm here and you're going to get that. Like,
right.
You know, and I've heard from other relatives that have gone and seen psychics since, that like he comes through so strong, like, and they're just like, it's not doubtable. It's just,
the personality was so just like, just amazing.
And that's how he was in life too. So it's really great. I'm grateful for that, and I'm really happy that's how we got to meet each other. It was really
Me
cool.
too. Me too. That was amazing. Like that just.
So yeah, so I want to ask you, I want to kind of move this on to like Happy Ganesh. Like what is that all about? What is your company like? What yeah, can you talk
Yeah.
about that?
So Happy Ganesh is really just a vehicle through which like I do the readings and the mediumship and all of that. And the reason I went with the name Happy Ganesh is that, weird as it may sound, Ganesh showed up in a meditation and he was hanging out like, hey, and I was like, okay, you got it. But I loved that he reminded me a little bit of Babar from the very beginning. Like the children's book Babar. I loved Babar as a kid.
I used to I have had all those books. I think I watched the cartoon. Like, whoa, what if Babar was like just
Babar? Yeah. And he was like just so cheerful
a
and
premonition of Ganesh.
maybe like I'll take it. But like, Ganesh as a god represents creativity. He represents dissolving blocks, which is something we all want to do. He represents bringing the creative force into your life, which is something that a lot of us don't feel we can do until there's blocks that have been removed. And in a lot of depictions of Ganesh, you'll see a little mouse by his foot. And that, if I'm not mistaken, that represents like overcoming an obstacle and seeing an obstacle as like little as a mouse. So being able to step over it. And he's also the god of writing, which spoke to me as well. And I just, he's powerful. He's creative. He's, and he always struck me as sort of a little bit of the oddball of the bunch. I mean, I just, I always loved him as a deity, and I thought he was just beautiful and fun and reminds me to have hope because everyone has moments of, I don't know if this is, and he reminds me to stay cheerful, to stay happy, to keep going, to walk over the obstacles and to bring creativity in as much as possible. And that's why, and it came together in 2009. And I was working at Griffin's Loft, which is sadly no longer, but it was a wonderful new age kind of meeting place that was down here about 10 years ago. And I met a lot of sort of psychics who now, who we've all sort of been doing this for like a decade now. And when we started, we were, tiny little babies just starting out. And it's cool how that all came together. Yeah.
Awesome. So, okay. Yeah. So like, so what is like let's see, it's kind of like, what had you choose to like, I would say it's like, you discover you have all of these gifts and talents and stuff. Now you could have chosen to like do anything with it, and like go on, but what has you choose to like help people with it? And like, what's that drive in you that wants to, because you don't, it's like you could just have all the information and be like, I'm gonna go like ask all these entities to help me go like, build the next like, rocket, or what I'm saying? Like, what has you like what has you choose to like go into like to helping people? Like what is that for you?
Oh, that's a good one. Oh, woo. I think that when I experienced that loss for me, it was so transformative. It was terrible, but it was transformative, and it was life-changing in all kinds of ways. And I felt like there was a bigger message there that was bigger than me.
Yeah.
And beyond me. And I feel like that's something that everyone goes through. And I feel like I just felt like I had information to share. And I love people and I want to help them. And this is going to sound kind of strange, but whatever, we're all on the weird team, like you said.
Yeah.
Like I've met very lovely alive people.
Yeah.
And I've met very lovely people who have passed. And I want to show people that connection. And I just feel a drive, like that love to show people how to connect that, and to I guess be the channel through which that happens. Because I'm not doing anything. It's just, here's this.
Yeah.
It's just information. And I wanted to give people that certainty,
Yeah.
for them, I guess, to heal them and as well as to heal myself, because I was coming off some pretty horrible grief
Yeah.
as well. And I feel like the shape of my own grief kind of gave birth to this and my desire to really go into it and have clients, and as opposed to like building a rocket ship or like
Yeah.
like going to law school or something. But let me say that there are plenty of practitioners, and it always fascinates me, who are doctors and lawyers and have this sort of very society approved job, but also do this on the side, or they have some way of connecting it. And that's, I feel like, if like if we're spiritual, we're going to find a way to get it in there, to shove it in.
Yeah. And that's like a lot of the people that have been on the panel this week. It's like most of them, some of them have work in the medical field, and then they kind of it's, what, if you ever watch the beginning, back 4 years ago when I did my first energy transformation week, me and some of the people that I interviewed had more of an attitude of like in us versus the mainstream. But now it's more of like an inclusion of the mainstream, because they can all work simultaneously.
Yeah.
And that's what's starting to get out, is like my yesterday's interview with Lauren Polly. She's actually getting asked to speak in front of doctors and groups of nurses and doctors to teach them how to become more energetically aware.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah. So I just got goosebumps.
That's exactly where we should be moving to, because just having medicine specifically be just one finite way, it doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
And I like, you have to link them up.
What's really cool.
There's so much.
Yeah. What's really cool is one of my relatives that is a psychiatrist or psychiatrist, the one that prescribes the medicine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And she the relative that you met actually came
mm-hmm.
through, and she showed me a video of like her lights flickering on and off around his picture.
So cool.
That she put up. And she was just like, keep it on and I'll tell her, meaning like she would like let his wife know that he was there. And
That's awesome.
And she sent it to me, and she goes, Tara, here I am talking to a picture and an unlit candle. So what's going on? What's going on here? And I was just like, no, that's really cool. I'm like, obviously you do have a gift, because obviously he knows that he can communicate to you.
Yeah, exactly.
And and I'm like, just trust yourself.
Yes.
And it's kind of interesting, because it was such a cool. It was just, she contacted me just as I was watching a video of him, because I would like to make a nice memorial video.
Yeah.
But I was in the middle of him on screen, and then I get this blip. Hey, I need to show you.
Of course you did. Like,
right? It's kind of like he's just very much like, I'm coming through, and you guys are gonna get it.
Yeah, like I'm not just gonna come through you. I'm gonna come through you and you and you and you and you and you over there.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna mess with your candle, and I'm gonna come to your dinner party, and I'm gonna knock stuff over. Like,
yeah.
They do that, they're very, smart, and they're just, and I think people are like, when they pass, it's no different. Like, they're the same energy. It's the same person. And
yeah, and that's another thing. So in the stuff that I do with Access, there's a program called Talk to the Entities, and it's like the person who founded that, she always says, okay, guys, like if someone was, just to get the point across, like if someone was stupid and dumb in life, they're going to be stupid and dumb in death.
Right.
So you got to kind of like help them along, like just ask a lot of questions.
Right.
No.
Right.
Lucky for us, this person was pretty brilliant. And
yeah.
Like,
and would not be silenced, and was, but that, like with the lights, for example, like I have a very dear friend who recently lost both of her parents, and had an experience. She and her husband were, you know, cleaning up the house or what have you, and lights just started flickering. Vanity lights in the bathroom just started twinkling. And it was almost like, the way she described it was almost something out of Stranger Things, where she was like, okay, if this is you, like blink off, and it would. And I feel like when you ask for evidence, you get it.
Yeah. You got to ask.
Yeah. And it's just really amazing to me. I'm getting like weird notifications that need to go away. Sorry. But yeah, like it's just, they come through, and it's,
so,
you know
what, so here we are kind of gloating over this, right? What would you say to somebody that was like still kind of, you know, because we have hooray for Hollywood for turning it into like some crazy monstrous thing, and the other side, you know, horror movies,
right,
really it doesn't do it justice, and it kind of like I don't even watch that stuff, but it's like what would you say to people who are a little like, I don't even want to go there, but it's like they kind of have that knowing that that's their next step, you know? Like, what for people there, like what would you say to them?
Well, first of all, and I love all the horror movies and all that, but I would say to somebody that it's not like Freddy Krueger. You know, it's not like you're gonna sit down to meditate and talk to grandma, and then you're never and then you're never seen again, and you're pulled back into a horrible dimension. You know, that being said, there is dark and light in this work, and there is dark stuff, and I think everyone who's a practitioner in this work has seen or experienced some strange things, you know. But I feel like if you're afraid to go into it, raise your energy, talk to source, God, whatever you consider that connection to be, put out your own healing, ask light, God, whatever, to protect you, talk to it, cultivate a relationship with your own source before you go into this if you're afraid. But I promise you, if you're reaching out to, you know, a person who has passed or whatever, and you're doing your own meditating and your own connection with source and building that relationship up, you're going to be fine. You know, I mean, and I think also trust your gut. Like if there's something that, Ouija boards, for example, I don't touch them. If I had one, it would just be burned outside right now. But, you know, but like some people are fine with it. Some people aren't. And if you're not fine with something like that, then say a prayer to whoever, whatever it is you believe in, and don't do that. But for what you do want to do, you know, just put out the energy to source to see you through it and protect you and bring you who you need, and you'll be okay.
You know, and I mean, and there are a lot of resources out there that can actually give a lot of tools and guidance nowadays. I mean, now, before there wasn't, it was kind of, you were just kind of left up to your own vices, I guess you could say. But I don't know, like for me, it's like I found I found my thing, right? And it's like, you know, I've got the questions, I can surround myself with white light, I can, you know, it's really interesting. And I still find that for me, when it's very personal, that's when I require assistance with someone else. But when it's like for other people, that's when I can get it pretty good, you know?
Right.
So yeah, I guess here's the thing, is like telling people, like, I'd like to let people know that, like, you know, if you like, you're not crazy. Like,
you're not crazy. I mean,
you're not crazy. And this is the time. I mean, I think that here we are in a time of the planet that, like, we all came here to be this, and to be our magic, and to be working in the field, in these energetic fields more and more. And I do want to say that I think we're pretty much over time, but if you have a little bit more time, I just really want to talk about, you were actually, you've spoken on like CBS radio and have clients all over the world. So what are you contacted for? Like, what is the radio like contacting you for? Like, what kind of thing did you do there? I'm just curious.
The radio shows that I did. I was on a couple times on CBS radio, and I have a very good friend named April Claxton, who is now April Roan, and she's also a psychic medium, and she was actually my roommate when we were starting We
Oh,
were
cool.
we were Griffin's Loft together. We were like Laverne and Shirley in our tiny room. Like,
Yeah.
But she had actually started a radio show that went from Blog Talk and then went to CBS. And I was very lucky that she had me on a couple times and we had a blast.
Yeah.
And then I was asked by, there was a CBS show I did out of LA. I believe it was called the Zodiac Girls.
Cool.
And I was on that and I talked about astrology. And I believe I talked about like astrology for specifically queer women and the queer community and what finding love was like in that paradigm, like for queer people and just kind of new age and creativity in general. But I think a lot of the radio shows I've done have sort of focused on loss and mediumship and being different.
That's cool.
You know? And a lot of times like LGBT stuff kind of comes in the back way as well with that.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a couple people I had one of my, well, I basically like with the work that I do, a lot of the people that I have on the panels, like some of them have been LGBT, and some of them just, a lot of them just kind of don't label themselves.
Yeah.
And it is like, it just is what it is. It's like I know that for some people, for me at this point, while we're going, I know both of our networks have lots of LGBTQ people in them, but the more I get into the energy work and the energetics of things, the less I label myself.
I think that's cool.
The more open I become to any energies that desire to contribute to me. And I mean, this could be a whole nother interview. But
I think that would be a really, really interesting, cool interview to go into that. Yeah.
It's like I used to be like, I used to just identify myself as like, L and Butch L, soft Butch L, whatever little box. Like, but to me now, that is way too small of a box. But there's so many things that like contribute to me, and there's so many energies that contribute to my body. There's so many, I'm trying out different looks. I'm just like you're
evolving.
I'm really like being like, body, like what clothes do you want to wear? Like what's going to create the most, like what's going to make us more generative, and it's just changing. And love you guys, love LGBTQ everyone, and
absolutely.
What else is possible, and still love you. Still love you.
Like I love that though, and I love what you said about I love it. Like, but I love what you said about generative and like how can you change to how does your soul evolve to fit how you want to look? Like what's the connection of the outer with the inner? And that just fascinates me. This is a whole other like interview, but gender fascinates me, and like ideas of gender and what's male, what's female, and how we put society throws things into boxes where it doesn't really need to be.
It's too many boxes. Just like, gosh, like we are really being undefined is probably, the closest to being you. Yeah. At least that's kind of like in my philosophies. It's just like how undefined can we get? Because that's when you can receive so much more. And new things can come to you like way easier if you're not defining what your path is. You know what I mean? If you take all the definitions away, it's like it's like a whole wide open space.
Yeah.
When,
blank page.
So, okay. So like here, this is what I would like. How can people get in touch with you? And I'm going to put your links around this video.
Awesome.
I mean, guys, I just want to say one thing, like seriously, if you have any like, if you're questioning your abilities, or if you have the sense that things are showing up for you, or that you might have these kinds of abilities, and you've heard what we're speaking about, and maybe there's a loved one that's kind of trying to get your attention. I mean, a lot of times what we think is maybe mental, like if we think we're going nuts or something, there may be a loved one trying to get your attention. Marissa would be someone that you'd want to contact. So if you could let me know your links and stuff, I'll put them under here. And
absolutely. Gosh, let's see. right now I'm pretty active on Facebook. You can go to Facebook at Happy Ganesh on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I think that's official Happy Ganesh. And my website's a little bit of a hot mess right now. It's in a major construction zone, but it's still active. It's just not the prettiest right now. But it's happyganesh.com. And you can, and there's an email in there too, Marissa at happyganesh.com. And you can email me, hit me up on Facebook, ask me questions, ignore my little dings on the computer. But yeah, I mean, I love this work and I'm happy to help. And yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Sure. All right. So now I have a question that I'm going to ask you that I ask every single person that does an interview with me for this.
Okay.
You know, the energy transformation week. So, okay, imagine the younger you is watching this video. Like,
God. Oh, go ahead. Continue.
Don't judge it. Don't judge it now. Okay, like that person that was just starting out, like maybe like before, you know, kind of like in the beginning of it all, before you took on the path of the healer and the medium and doing it for other people. Like, I would say, I want to know like what you would say to that person, like as the being that you are today, to encourage her.
Ooh, ooh, wow. I think I would tell her that it's really going to be okay. Like that it's going to be okay, that you're going to feel accepted, that you're going to be able to do what you love, that you're going to be loved and accepted by people, and you're going to be able to be happy doing what you do. And I feel like me in high school was very, you know, knew about this, but was terrified of it. And,
yeah,
you know, had sort of come out of the closet and was getting beaten up and all of those things. And that world has really transformed for that kid. So I would just say to her, like, keep doing your weird.
Yeah, like
keep doing you and stick with it, and trust the people who are around you, because, you know, if you're lucky enough to have friends that follow you through decades, keep them, because they're gonna be your family and keep you grounded.
Cool.
So yeah.
Awesome.
Keep on doing it. Oh, that's an emotional one. Oh
yeah.
that's a good one.
I know. That's why I do. Well, yeah, I mean, well, here's the thing is because there's, you know, and I'm going to say this in a very sarcastic way, because there's not going to be anybody in that space watching this video, right?
Not at all. Completely not someone who thinks that they're like weird and whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, shoot, I always tell my teachers, like, well, a couple of years ago when I was still, you know, in some of my energy classes, I was like, wow, I thought I came out of the closet before, but now I think there's a way bigger closet to come out of.
And it's this stuff.
I know, right? So that's kind of like where that's, you know, I mean, there's, oh my God. So that's like I said, that's a whole nother interview panel kind of thing. Yeah, we should probably we should definitely keep in touch, you know?
Yes. Oh my God, that would be great. Absolutely.
Yeah. And what else is possible for the future? All right, guys. So you know, here, I'm going to wrap this up. You have just heard from Marissa and, you know, all about being a psychic, healer, medium, and her journey. Now, tomorrow, we're going to be speaking with Connor James Hill, again at 12 p.m. Eastern. He has a really interesting story. And you know, we're going to be hearing about his transformation and how energy work has transformed his life. I mean, he started out as an engineer. So we're going to be hearing from him.
Cool. Wow. That's another one of someone who started as an engineer and then made this massive transformation to the other end.
Yes.
Love it.
So yeah, I can't wait to talk to him. So tomorrow, tune in again at 12 p.m. Eastern. And again, Marissa, if you'd like to say anything in closing, you have the floor.
Oh my gosh. First of all, you're so amazing, and I'm so happy that I met you the way I did. And thank you for having me on this. It means the world to me. This was just awesome, and you're a delight. And got the greatest sparky energy. It just goes everywhere. I love it. And I just want to say to people that, you know, if you take nothing else away from this interview and our chat today, that there's not an end to anything, you know, and everything is possible, and love continues even after people pass. And just, yeah,
Awesome.
keep trusting your gut.
Yeah, trust yourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially this generation now.
Yeah, yeah. You guys, like, seriously, we've got a bunch. You guys really like need to. It's ready. Turn up your weird. Okay. And now we've been
Name of
going.
the show.
Yeah.
There it is. Turn up your weird.
Turn up your weird. All right, guys. Take care. See you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.